Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the first season of BoJack Horseman. Yes, BoJack Horseman. I know that I said I would start watching the show last year. I watched the first 4 episodes, and then I kind of stopped watching the show, and probably because it really did take me off guard a lot. Because let me just say that this was very different than what the previews made it out to be. However, this was a fantastic first season. After watching it, I absolutely love this first season. I only had like maybe a few problems with it. That was really it. But just know that it's very different than what you expect it to be. And the reason I'm reviewing season 1 is because season 2 comes out tomorrow, and I figured, all right, I'm gonna finish season 1 so I can start season 2 and then review season 2 to you guys because I am finishing Sense8 tomorrow. I know it's really sad. I'm gonna watch episodes probably episodes 10, 11 today, and then watch the finale tomorrow. But then I would start BoJack Horseman season 2. So I focused on finishing this, and I really loved it. There are so many things I love about this show, but let's get to the plot of BoJack Horseman, which I think is really genius. I really do love the plot of this show, because we focus on BoJack Horseman, who is this horse who, back in the 90s, had this very successful TV show called Horsin' Around. It was very popular. Everybody watched it. It was kind of like your typical 90s sitcom. However, nowadays he is kind of just like completely, he is the definition of a washed up actor. He's taking drugs, he's bitter all the time, he's very depressed, he's drinking a lot, he's not really known for a lot of very good things, and he basically wants to redeem himself, so he decides that he wants to write a memoir. So he hires a ghostwriter, Diane, to write the memoir for him, while basically he finds a way to kind of change and turn himself around and see if he truly can. And that's really the plot of BoJack Horseman. There are a lot of things I really do love about this show that I think work really, really fantastic, honestly. I think that this show, as I said, it's very, very different than what you're thinking it's going to be. I really want to talk about first, I really want to talk about the acting first in this show, because the acting is actually phenomenal, honestly. The acting is one of the things I think that makes the show as good as it is. This is probably one of Netflix's best shows, and I don't think a lot of people are watching it, and it's probably because it's just very different than what you think it's going to be. Because you look at this show, and it's animated, and it's a comedy. You expect it to be completely ridiculous, and it's actually not. Something you need to understand going into the show is that it's not just a comedy. It is a surprising dramedy with a lot of heart to it and a lot to say about the world, and that's because of how good the acting is. Will Arnett perfectly plays BoJack Horseman. I think this is one of the best roles he's ever played. I mean, you really like his character. The first time you see him, yes, the first episode is not the best, because it doesn't really set the tone for the series. It's more of a fun episode. But as the show goes on, you start to see that BoJack has a lot going on in his life. There's a lot of shit he's been through. And the way they just fleshed out his character, I thought was very well done. It wasn't exactly something I went into, or, I thought that was going to happen in the show, but they flesh out his character so well, and I really do love that. And the more they flesh out his character, the more they get you to care for his character, and you really start to see how depressing his character is, and I absolutely love the way they handled that, I have to say. I think Will Arnett did a fantastic job. I mean, there are points where he's going to make you laugh hysterically, but just be prepared. There are points where he's probably going to make you cry even. Honestly, it's very sad at points, and I really loved about his character. Amy Sedaris is Princess Carol, and she is hilarious. She is this cat who is sometimes BoJack's girlfriend and also is really annoyed agent. She's just trying to get him the best gig possible. And she just kind of wants her own personal life, and she wants to kind of not have a life with BoJack, because constantly her life involves BoJack, and it's really funny to watch at times. The clashing between them is great, and I really do love her character. However, what really does make this show, and something that I really did love, was Allison Brie as Diane. Now, I love Allison Brie. She's really hot, first of all, there's that, but also the fact that obviously she's a cartoon in this, but, she's great in Community. But in this, I really do love Diane as a character, because the thing you think about Diane, you think that she's just going to be this ghostwriter that's writing for BoJack. You don't think what's going to happen with Diane happens, and I'm going to get into spoilers now, because I really do want to talk about it. BoJack actually starts to fall in love with Diane. He starts to realize that Diane is this girl that he wants to be a lot more than friends with. But however, the biggest problem with that is Mr. Peanut Butter, played by Paul F. Tompkins, who pretty much is what BoJack wishes he would be. I mean, Mr. Peanut Butter is just huge star. Everybody loves him. He's very happy with himself. He, is still very successful. And it's pretty much the opposite of BoJack. And I thought the dynamic between these two, the thing I love is that he can be a bit of an asshole sometimes, but he does care about BoJack. He always tries to talk to him. He tries to involve him in conversations. He's a nice guy overall, and I really like that dynamic between them. I thought that was very well done, and I definitely really like that. My only problem with this show is Aaron Paul's character, Todd. This character, I understand that he's supposed to be a bit of an idiot and not really the brightest, but a lot of times his subplots didn't really do anything, and I didn't really find him funny. I didn't really feel like they added anything to the story, and a lot of times there's this one episode where he goes to prison. It lasts for like an episode, and I felt like they had more of an opportunity to do stuff with him. They didn't really do much with his character. They did towards the end, but especially in like the middle half, they didn't really know what else to do with him. So that really is my only complaint with this show, is Aaron Paul as Todd. However, the acting is great, but really what makes the show, I think, is good is the directing and the writing. The directing is very great. Is great to this show. I mean, when the show wants to be hilarious, it's hilarious. There are points where it's gonna take you off guard. It's gonna suddenly become serious. But you know what? It works because they get you to care for these characters. And you're just thinking, this is an animated sitcom. It's really not. As I said, it's a dramedy. It can be a very depressing show at times. And I really give it to Netflix. I mean, this is an animated comedy, and they're making me very emotional, and I really do applaud them for that, because I've never seen an animated show go as in-depth with their characters and make you care more than they had with BoJack Horseman. I thought that was absolutely fantastic the way they handled it, and I really do want to get into spoilers, and now we're going to get into the writing. The writing is just so sharp in this show. I mean, first of all, let's get to the jokes, because the jokes are hilarious most of the time. There are a few jokes that don't work, but a lot of the jokes are just really a play on words. There are so many great ones. There's this great bit in an episode where Beyonce falls, and they just, basically, there's a news report, and every single thing they say is a reference to one of her songs. It's hilarious, and it's as funny as you can think. There's an episode where someone steals the D from Hollywood and they call it Hollywoo. It's pretty hilarious. And then in the news report, every single thing they're saying is a D. So there's a lot of starts with a D. It's really funny. I mean, there's some great play on words like that. There's a reference. Oh my god, there was a reference towards the end to Orange is the New Black in the finale. I started bursting out hysterically because the song they were playing sounded like it should be in an Orange is the New Black episode. It was really funny. But like I said, this show is surprisingly a lot of heart to it, and I think that really starts after we start to meet Diane's family. After this, the show becomes a lot more serious, and I really do like that. Because as I said, BoJack starts to realize that he really cares for Diane, he really loves her, and he really wants to be with her, but he can't because she's with Mr. Peanut Butter and needs to accept that. And you see this connection he has with her, and eventually you realize why he wants to be with her as much as he does. And I think the two best episodes of this season by far. The first one, now I'm going to talk about my favorite episodes of the season right now, because these episodes are really, I think, what makes this show so different than any other animated sitcom on TV and really stands above them. In my opinion, this is the best animated thing on TV right now. I really do, because it stands above them completely, and there's a lot to talk about with that. So the first episode that I think is fantastic that you guys need to watch is called The Telescope. This is an episode where BoJack is going to meet up with this guy. We don't know who he is. His name is Herb Kazaz. Apparently BoJack ruined his life, but they show us a complete flashback of what happened, and we start to realize that BoJack used to be a much more easygoing guy. He used to be a lot of fun. He was this comedian. There was this girl, though, Charlotte, who he really wanted to be with, and she ended up moving to Maine, and he left her for fame, basically. He left her for Herb Kazaz, and Herb Kazaz is what casted him in his show Horsing Around, and you start to see the development that these two had, and eventually their downfall, how things got really bad between them, and I really love the way they showed that. I thought that was definitely something I personally really enjoyed, was seeing the history of him and Herb Kazaz, and the ending is so depressing, of course. You find that Herb Kazaz has cancer, and he just kicks BoJack out because he says he's never going to forgive him, and the way they do that scene, it just shows how much has changed for him, and I really did love that. Another one of my favorite episodes has to be episode 3, where we see Sarah Lynn, who was the youngest actress in Horsing Around. She played Sabrina, and basically she's become your typical washed-up actress. She's in drugs, she tried to become a successful pop singer, it didn't work out, and I really loved about her character as well. You really get to see more with her character, they go in depth with her. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but I thought they handled that very well, too. However, the best episode this season, by far, also, guys, I forgot to say, what this show has to say about life and things like that, I think is definitely very interesting, but I'll get into it. The best episode this season is episode 11, Downer Ending. This is one of the most fantastic episodes of television I think I've seen in a long time, guys. This episode is so fantastic, and it's because of the fact that this is an animated sitcom, and they go into some really, really dark and deep directions, and I really love that, because in this episode, basically, BoJack is pissed at Diane because she's released the first 2 pages of his memoir, the first 2 chapters of his memoir, and he basically fires her, and he decides to write his own memoir with Sarah Lynn and Todd. They, unfortunately, are mad high on drugs. Remember last night's episode of Mr. Robot? Well, that is nothing compared to this episode of BoJack Horseman. It was very similar to that, but this is just a lot wackier and a lot crazier. Because basically, they start to go on this drug frenzy, and they start to fantasize, and BoJack then starts to think of this ending where he lives in Maine, and he just lets the water take him, and it's a really depressing ending, and basically, Sarah Lynn and Todd decide maybe they want to kill him, which I thought was interesting, but then, as this is about to happen, he starts to realize that he's tripping more and more, and we really get to this great scene, which was, I think, the best scene of the entire show, has to be when we see him in Maine with Charlotte and realize this is the life he could have had. Like, he's really thinking, this is the life I could have had, this is the direction it could have went, this is what could have happened to me. It's this really emotional scene. You see him with Charlotte in Maine, they grow up to have this kid, Harper, and she grows, you know, before them, but then he realizes that this is the life he could have had, and it's not the life he wants, and it's not the life he can have. If he would, and I thought it was well done the way they had Charlotte in this, because what they did with this that I really enjoyed was that Charlotte, you know, all of his choices, he would have made his choice a lot differently had he gone to Maine with Charlotte. Him and Herb Kazaz wouldn't hate each other, he wouldn't be a washed up horse. Obviously, he wouldn't be in Horsing Around, but he'd be content and happy with himself, and it kind of makes me foreshadow that maybe she's going to return in his life. I could kind of see that happening, and I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see them maybe reconnect, and I thought that was brilliant the way they handle it. However, my favorite scene of that episode has to be the ending, where he goes to Diane and asks her, can I change? It's just such an emotional scene. You forget you're watching an animated comedy. You forget that because it goes in such dark direction, and he just asks Diane, you know, do you think I can change? Come on, can I change? Can I be someone else? Can I turn myself around? Am I a good person? And these questions he starts to ask her are just so dark and deep, and it's something I never expected from this show, but I absolutely appreciate. I love that the show went in this dark direction. I really appreciate that the show did that. That's something I thought was fantastic, because the show, to me, is not about some talking horse that used to be on a TV show. No, the show is about comebacks. It's about, can we turn our life around? Is this the direction our life should go? And also about redemption and how things hurt other people and things like that. That's what makes this show as good as it is, are the messages of the show, and also the darkness of the show. I will admit, the finale is not the greatest episode of the show. It was a very good finale. I really love what happened in this finale, and I really do want to talk about it. But I really do want to talk about the animation in the show. The animation looks absolutely fantastic. I think it looks really great. I know some people don't really like it, but I think the animation style is really good. It's really realistic at times. Like, the animation looks very realistic, and I really love that. The score is really good. Cinematography is amazing. Like, anytime you see BoJack have that trip, like, in episode 11, cinematography was absolutely phenomenal there. I thought they did a great job with it. Also, the episodes are very short. They're only 25 minutes, so you'll probably get past them very fast, and I definitely recommend that. If I had to pick a bad episode this season, there really isn't a bad one. I honestly didn't really find a bad episode. I didn't. I think every episode really does have something. If I had to pick a bad episode, I'd say the first, like, 2 episodes are not the strongest. I'd say after episode 5, that's when the show gets as amazing as it is, after episode 5. The first 2 episodes are definitely not the greatest. They're funny, but they don't have the heart that episode 5 and then episodes on from that have, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that the show can actually take itself seriously is very ballsy, and I really love that they did that. I love how seriously they took themselves. Again, my only complaint is Todd. We never really gave a purpose for Todd. I mean, Todd, he is BoJack's roommate. He's living with BoJack. There's that. There's a part where he ends up in prison. There's this great storyline where he wants to write this rock opera, but BoJack doesn't want to help him, so he gets him distracted by playing this addictive video game, basically, and that kind of distracts him so he won't write the rock opera. And this I thought was interesting, but it didn't really seem that compelling of a plot to me. And after this, we didn't really focus too much on it because you'd see this really great storyline with BoJack, and then we cut to Todd doing something ridiculous that I thought was really dumb, I have to say. And I didn't really like Todd's plots in the episode. There's this one episode where he joined a prison gang, and it was very boring. Like, his plots, I didn't really find them interesting or funny. I kind of found them boring at points and found them kind of unnecessary. I really did. So, that really is my only problem, though, is Todd's plot. We never really gave Todd a purpose until the finale, which I will get into. And now we're getting into the finale. I really do want to talk about it because a lot of stuff did come up, and I really did like that. Also, guys, I did not watch their Christmas special, but the Christmas special is actually an episode of Horsing Around, showing the good times in BoJack's life, and that's something I thought was very good. So, let's talk about the finale. Okay, it wasn't the best finale, no, but it was a fantastic finale because it really gave BoJack that purpose that he wanted. That purpose was that he's always wanted to play Secretariat in the movie. It never happened, and that's something he's always wanted. And, you know, when he gets the opportunity to do that, you just see how happy he is. And I love the way they handled the scene where he realizes that he does have the opportunity to play Secretary. I thought it was a fantastic scene. And the way they started with a flashback, I thought just made it the more effective. That's something I was surprisingly loving in the show, were the flashback structures. Anytime a flashback would come on, I absolutely loved it because it got us into the character more and got us more into his brain and just how his life could have been. I love the way they handled that. Because you see, again, in 1970, he was very happy, and then he lost that race, and the Secretariat movie never really happened. It's always been this lifelong dream of his, and I thought that was fantastic when we saw that. And, you know, he discovers that while the book may resurrect his career, we start to think, you know, is this book going to work out? Because a lot of the episode is BoJack wondering, can I change? Am I a good person? Do these people still care about me? And then he realizes, yeah, a lot of people love him. In fact, he's probably as popular as Mr. Peanut Butter because, you know, he wins that award at the Golden Globes for Best Memoir. And he then basically... everyone loves him at that party. Everyone's talking to him. Everyone's, you know, loving him. And I really love that scene because BoJack realizes that there are people in his life that care about him. He's not alone. He's not the only person in his life that thinks he can do something. There are people there that really care about him. And I thought that was a very well done scene because you really start to see that BoJack is finally getting a purpose. He's finally understanding why he's in this world, why he's important. And I thought they handled that just perfectly in that scene. It was honestly very well done. The conversation he has between him and Diane is one of the most heartwarming scenes of this entire show. I mean, Diane basically tells him, I agree with what she says. that deep down doesn't matter. It's more of their actions or what they do. I mean, BoJack has shown that he does want to change. Him talking to her just showed that, yeah, he does want to change. He's that desperate. He wants to do whatever he can to change, and I can't wait to see where Season 2 takes him, because Season 2 is definitely going to be BoJack trying to change, and I think that was fantastic, because for a while, you don't know if he's going to be Secretary of the Movie, but then, of course, Andrew Garfield drops out. He's no longer in it, and BoJack's now in it, so I thought that was awesome that we found out that he's finally gotten the lifelong role that he wants, and I thought that was great. The whole thing between Princess Carolyn and Vincent, I mean, you knew that was coming. You knew they were going to break up. There's no way she was going to continue dating this, like, three kids in this trench coat. I mean, that was pretty hilarious. I've already talked about this. There's this great kid, there's this great character named Vincent, who is literally just three kids. Vincent Adultman, that's his name. He's also played by Allison Brie. He's three kids in a trench coat, and it's pretty hilarious the way they handled that. I definitely really love that. Also, the cameos in this show are just fantastic, I have to say. I forgot to say, again, a lot of the jokes are a play on words, but the cameos are endless, and they're hilarious, and you never see them coming, which I love. Todd and Mr. Peanut Butter, I mean, what they're doing is going to be hilarious next season. Of course, they're going to create a Halloween store in January, which I think is pretty hilarious that they're going to do that. And, of course, it freaks everybody out, but we're going to see how that works out. I like seeing them give Todd a purpose, give him to hang out with Mr. Peanut Butter, because he always seemed closer with Mr. Peanut Butter than he did with BoJack. You know, it always seemed like they kind of had a dynamic, so I like that he's going to be working with Mr. Peanut Butter, and I thought that was definitely very good. And then the way this season ended with that beautiful scene where he signs an autograph and someone says, "You're my hero," and BoJack realizes that he still has fans and he still has a purpose. It's this moment for BoJack where he comes to this realization that, yeah, I can change. Yes, there are people out there that still care about me. There are people there that still think of me as the, you know, the great person I used to be, and I still can be that person. I can be more happy with myself. I can be more content with myself, and that really is where Season 2 is going to take us, and I can't wait to see where they go with that. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I love the way they handled it in this season, and I think this next season, you know, Season 2, it's going to really be eye-opening for BoJack, because he's completely going to change, and I already saw the trailer. It looks fantastic. It looks like he's going to change. He's going to try to, and it's going to be amazing to watch. I can't wait to see how that goes. Obviously, he's not going to pursue Diane. You know he can't be with her because obviously she's married to Mr. Peanut Butter, and it's what she wants, and she wants to be with him. So I kept thinking those two were going to break up, but I like that they didn't. I like how realistic this show is. It's honestly kind of surprising, but this is a very realistically portrayed show. I mean, the events that happen, yeah, that's what happens to washed-up actors. That's, you know, they don't realize how good they are, and the credit that they really deserve, and I thought that was very well done in this episode. I really did. I mean, and the season in general, I really did love that, and I like how the love triangle wasn't a love triangle. It wasn't Mr. Peanut Butter and BoJack fighting over Diane. There was episode 6 when that happened, but it wasn't like a love triangle where it's just like, oh, I fucking hate you, get out of here. It wasn't that kind of thing. No, BoJack thought he liked Diane because and I do agree with what Princess Carolyn says, that he didn't love Diane. He loved what she was doing. He loved that she was there in his life. He loved that someone was there for him. I really do agree, because Princess Caroline has that great line when she says that. Really, what he cares about, what he loves, is just having people in his life and people to care for him, and I think that's fantastic. He's probably going to go off his drugs. He's going to go off drinking, and I can't wait to see how that goes in Season 2. It's going to be phenomenal, and I absolutely love this show. So guys, please check out BoJack Horseman. I know it seems silly, but this is a very deep show. It's very surprising. It has a lot to say about life. I know I was very surprised too. I can't wait to see where Season 2 takes us, because obviously BoJack's going to try to turn his life around. He's going to try and make things better. He's going to be in Secretariat, which I can't wait to see how that goes. We don't really have a purpose for Diane next season, but I definitely feel like she's going to do something. Obviously, she's going to still probably go on those, like, business errands with BoJack, which I love. I always love when they work together. Charlotte. I kind of feel like Charlotte's going to come back into the picture next season. I really do. I mean, you can't have all those flashbacks that make me think Charlotte's not going to be a big part of BoJack's life. I mean, I think that really is one of the biggest decisions he ever made that he doesn't want, and I think the way they did that was great. Also, the opening sequence of this show is truly fantastic. I love it. It's one of Netflix's best shows by far. I think it is the funniest show on Netflix, but it also is very insightful. It has a lot of great messages about the world and turning your life around. I absolutely love that, and I definitely recommend you check out BoJack Horseman. It truly is fantastic. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of the show. If you have seen it, what did you think of how deep it got? I definitely wasn't expecting the dark direction it went, but I absolutely loved it. Especially episode 11, as I said, Downer Ending. It's one of the best, like, half an hour, 25 minutes television I've seen in a while. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Sense8, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.